Hello everyone, Meta Plus Meditation here. Thursday, June the 29th, the solemnity of Saints Peter and Paul, martyrs for the faith, both died in Rome. All roads lead to Rome. It was the nexus of the empire. Once the faith was established in Rome, it could go to everywhere in the empire. So it's an understatement to say God is wise. Okay, so the first reading is there's two readings and then the gospel. So it's from Acts of the Apostles, chapter 12. I'm just going to read the very end. Peter's in jail. The angel rescues him. He thinks it's a dream. But then he gets outside and then the angel leaves him. Then Peter came to himself. It's like he was waking up from his sleep, almost. Now I am sure that the Lord has sent his angel and rescued me from the hands of Herod and from all that the people were expecting. So, number one, Peter is watched over and protected in a special way. And this is something that the Lord has promised will happen. That doesn't mean that Peter is going to be exempted from trials and tribulations. He was just in jail. And he's going to wind back up in jail. And he's going to keep suffering for the sake of the gospel. But the Lord is showing him here that he's watching over him and protecting him, not necessarily from tribulation, but through tribulation. And that's always an important distinction for us to make. That Peter, and we'll get it and get into Paul in a second. These individuals, the other apostles, were not strangers to a difficult, obstacle-filled life. So it's important that we learn from their example. They were faithful to the Lord because the Lord was faithful to them. Okay, so that's Peter from the first reading. And then over to 2 Timothy, the second reading. Paul is writing from prison. Beloved, I have been poured out as a libation, and the time for my departure has come. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. From now on, there is reserved for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. It's one of my favorite lines of St. Paul. It says, like last will and testament. What I don't know is that if after this he was actually executed or he was let go, and then, he was executed eventually, that's for sure. They cut off his head because he was a Roman citizen. He was not permitted to be crucified like Peter was. Peter had to be crucified. Paul actually, because he's a Roman citizen, could be beheaded. So he really considers his life not to be worth anything in comparison to the life that was laid down for him, and that's the life of Jesus Christ. So I have fought the good fight. I finished the race. I'm not surprised. He's saying, I'm not surprised this is here. This moment has come, whether it's now or it's 5 months in the future or 2 years in the future. I'm not surprised. This has been a race. This has been a fight. I know who I'm up against, the evil one, Satan and his demons, and the worldly powers. And I know this is coming to an end, and I want to go. I will be willing to stay here. I'm willing to stay here if that's what the Lord wants, but I really want to be with him. Now, wouldn't that be great if you and I really believed that, not just said it? Pray for this grace every day, but run the race, fight the fight, so that you and I can finish the course. And at the end, we can say, I've kept the faith by the grace of the Lord Jesus. Now, I really want to see him. This is what we would call dying with a holy death, a pious death. It in no way means that we disdain this world, but we recognize this is preparation for eternity. We have no idea what that means, except it's eternity, right? It's never going to end. It's not boring. It's not repetitive. It's not like so many things in this world, ups and downs and so on. But it's eternity with God, the angels and saints. Okay, over to the gospel, Matthew chapter 16. It's the famous confession of faith. Jesus says, who do people say the Son of Man is? They answer, and then he says to them, but who do you say that I am? Simon Peter answered, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. The Father takes this, Jesus takes this as the Father signaling that Peter's the one, and he is the one chosen, because he says to him, blessed are you, Simon, son of John, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven. For I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. So, before I've talked about Kepha, you are Kepha, and on this Kepha I will build my church. It's actually Peter, who is the prime minister. It makes perfect sense from the Hebrew monarchy. The king always had a prime minister. Peter's the prime minister. He has the keys of the kingdom. I mean, if you know your Jewish scriptures, this makes perfect sense. To think that Peter is not that important a figure, or that, he's just a figurehead, is ridiculous. That's not the kingdom of the fulfillment of the kingdom. So Peter is granted this authority, but he also very quickly shows he still has a weakness about him. So he's not impeccable. But the charism, the office he will be given by the Lord Jesus, possesses infallibility when Peter will speak on matters essential for salvation. And that's the key for us. Doesn't mean Peter's impeccable, but the office has the charism of infallibility. So the moment the Pope steps out of that office, like Benedict XVI retired, he no longer possesses this charism, because it's the office itself. So the person occupying the office, when he speaks in matters of faith and morals, matters essential for salvation, will be protected by the Lord Jesus from preaching error. And that's for your good and for my good and for his good. So this is a wonderful day when we celebrate these two individuals who were chosen by Jesus. But remembered, when they died, it didn't stop. Now you and I have to carry on what they died for. And that is to pass on the beauty, truth, goodness, and beauty that is possessed in its fullness in the Catholic faith. God bless you.